Good morning. Now we are going to continue market equilibrium using demand and supply function. We have mentioned in the previous slides what is the relation between quantity demanded and price. It's reflected by the negative relation, which is seen in the equation by negative sign. And QS is a positive relation because it's the perspective of firms or production. So there is a positive relation between price and QS, or quantity supplied, and it's reflected in the formula by positive sign. So you might have in your exam quantity demanded formula, quantity supplied formula. It will be given to you. And then you are going to be asked what is the market equilibrium using these givens. So solution, we have learned before that market equilibrium meaning it means the corresponding point, which means the intersection between demand and supply curve. So the point of intersection means we have a point that there is an equality between QD and QS. So let's have this rule and substitute it with the formulas we have. So QD equals 14 minus 2P. I'm going to put it under QD on the left-hand side. QS equals 2 plus 4P. I'm going to plot it under QS on the right-hand side. So mathematically, we are going to put numbers with each other on the left-hand side and P as a known on the right-hand side. So 14 minus 2, I'm going to move 2 to the other side with a negative relation, so 14 minus 2. On the right-hand side, I'm having 4P, and I'm going to move 2P to the right-hand side. So 14 minus 2 equals 4P plus 2B. Mathematically, it's very simple. Let's move. So 14 minus 2 equals 12, and then P equals 6P, dividing the both sides on divided by 6. So 12 divided by 6 and 6 over 6, P equals 2. So the result, P equals 2. And then I'm going to substitute in quantity demanded equation. So QD equals 14 minus 2 times 2. 2 here is calculated from the previous calculations, P equals 2. So QD equals 14 minus 2 times 2, so QD equals 10. Very simple. I'm going to substitute also in QS. So QS equals 2 plus 4 times 2. 2 plus 8 equals 10. So we have QD equals 10, QS equals 10, which is logic. Why? Because we are calculating market equilibrium, which means intersection between QD and QS. It means the desire for demanders equals the same desire of suppliers. It's the point where the intersection happens between QD and QS. So it's intersection point. It means QD equals QS. Let's move. Demand and supply curves. Again, I'm going to make a revision on the previous slides. Here, I'm going to make assumptions. QD equals 14 minus 2P. Assumption, if P equals 1, of course, again, anyone can choose. Equals 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever numerical example you are going to assume. So QD equals 14 minus 2 times 1, so QD equals 12. So if quantity demanded, if price equals 1, quantity demanded will be 12. So what happens if prices increase? Logically, if price increase, QD would decrease. So QD equals 14 minus 2 times 2. So if P equals 2, quantity demanded will shrink or decrease to QD equals 10 instead of 12. Again, I'm going to have the same idea on QS. QS equals 2 plus 4P. Again, an assumption. If P equals 1, QS equals 2 plus 4 times 1. So the result, QS equals 6. What would happen if the prices increases, instead of 1 it became 2. The firms will be encouraged to produce more or less. We will see. QS equals 2 plus 4 times 2, so QS equals 10. So when price increases, QS would increase. And that does match with what we have learned in demand topic and supply topic. Equilibrium graph. It's an application on the previous lecture. I'm going to plot demand and supply curve. If P equals 1, what would we get for quantity demanded? Quantity demanded equals 12. Again, 1 and 12 on demand curve. What would happen if prices increases? If price became 2, what would happen to demand curve? It will decrease for 10. So we are going to plot these 2 points and then connect, and we will get demand curve. Let's move to supply curve. If prices equals 1, what is the QS? What is the corresponding or the response from suppliers? 1 would be 6. Then what would happen if prices increases to 2? Again, the suppliers will respond. They will increase quantity supplied to 10. We are going to connect the 2 points, and then when we will have supply curve. Supply has a positive slope. It moves upward. The demand, it has a negative slope, downward sloping. Exercise. Given the following demand and supply formulas, QD equals 200 minus 4P, QS equals 150 plus 5P. These are given for you, and you are going to do it by your own hand. Please do it and make this exercise because it's very important for an application. Required plot demand and supply schedules and curves. Schedules here, you are going to use the previous lecture. You are going to put much more assumptions, 3 or 4 assumptions, and then you will get QD and then you will get QS. After this, you are going to plot demand curve, to plot and draw supply curve. And then we are going, he's asking, and this is the exercise, determine market equilibrium price and quantity. This calculation means I'm going to make it equal or equalate between QD and QS. So I'm going to do it. I've already done, and you are going to do it by your own hand. And then you will find equilibrium price equals 5.55, equilibrium quantity 177.8. So you are going to calculate them and use your calculator, and then you should find equilibrium price and quantity with the drawing. You are going to continue this by your own hands. Thank you. See you next lecture.